Now on Coast TV News.
Senate Bill 23 moves forward. Not everyone is a fan of the sweeping affordable housing bill. Biking in Lewis plans to improve streets near the beach.
A yellow alert continues into Friday for another day of intense heat and possibly severe weather later into the evening hours. I'll break it down in my full forecast coming up.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
An affordable housing bill moves forward in the first state. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. We begin tonight with Delaware lawmakers pushing bills closer to becoming law as we are just 19 days away from the legislative session ending. Starting with a bill aimed at increasing affordable housing, the Senate passed Senate Bill 23 today. The bill would require larger counties and towns to include affordable housing plans in their comprehensive plans. And if you didn't know, a comprehensive plan is a guidepost for where houses and businesses can go and how land can be used. The bill calls for a statewide goal of making 20% of housing affordable. SB 23 now heads to the House. State Senator Russ Huxtable is the primary sponsor of the bill, saying, quote, "The Housing for Every Delawarean Act will ensure that housing development will proceed responsibly, focused on smart growth." However, Janelle Cornwell, executive director of the Delaware League of Local Governments, is against Senate Bill 23, saying, quote, "What this bill does is remove transparency and eliminate public comments from the public process." Cornwell said those comments during a Lewis City Mayor and Council meeting on Monday. Highly caffeinated drinks in Delaware could be getting regulated. The House unanimously passed the measure Thursday. It would have the Division of Public Health create warning signs saying energy drinks and caffeinated supplements are not recommended for children and those who are pregnant or nursing. Businesses would also be encouraged to post those signs near the products. That bill now heads to the Senate. The first state is also moving forward with a proposed constitutional amendment focused on outdoor traditions. The Senate unanimously passed a bill today that would recognize the right to hunt, fish, and trap in Delaware. Supporters say the measure protects those activities as a part of the state's natural heritage while still allowing the state to regulate wildlife management, licensing, and conservation. That bill's next stop is the House. And for all of those bills, we have articles on Senate Bill 23 with the goal of expanding affordable housing to caffeinated drink warnings and protecting hunting and fishing. All of that right now on CoastTV.com. We are now taking a look into Milford. We're going to bring in First Alert meteorologist Bob Trahey. And Bob, storms rolled through parts of Delmarva tonight.
Good evening, Brandon. Now, for a good part of the evening, we had a severe thunderstorm watch across a good part of the area, Delaware back through the mid-shore in the past 15 minutes. That has been allowed to expire because showers and storms from the west just fizzled out. And right now, there's nothing going on across Sussex County, as we saw warnings across the mid-shore for some storms that had a lot of lightning and then heavy rain, and then they just fizzled out as they moved into Delaware. Still going around the Philadelphia area right now, and as this line moved through, it's kicking up the winds, but that's about it. Once again, all the activity now pretty much to the north. It was scorching heat today, temperatures into the 90s. We had records in Georgetown and Salisbury. It's warm now, 84 in Georgetown and Millsboro, 83 in Salisbury, still 87 in Lewis. We've got dew points in the 60s to mid 70s. That is very muggy air, and it still feels like 80s to low 90s right now. It feels like 91 in Redden, 88 in Millsboro. And the winds have kicked up too. In fact, we got a gust of 34 in Millsboro and about 21 in Redden as we saw that line of storms kind of fall apart. Through the overnight, I think the rain is over. We're looking at partly cloudy skies. And then the heat is on big time again as we go into the afternoon tomorrow with mid-90s, and then that possibility of severe weather into the evening hours. I think the threat for severe weather has pretty much gone away as we're looking at the mild and muggy conditions. And then by tomorrow afternoon and evening, we're looking at feels like temperatures into the triple digits, and that's going to put us in the very hot range. So that's one more day of that, and that storm threat. I'll have much more on that coming up in my full forecast a little bit later on.
Thank you, Bob. Take a look This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what is your biggest concern during extreme heat? You felt it, I felt it earlier in the day. Let's take a look at the updated results from our 6 p.m. news hour. The results saying 36% majority power outages, 30% at health risk. And if you haven't voted yet, you still can on coasttv.com or on our mobile app. And take a look at this point on your screen. Right there on Atlantic Avenue in Millville is where Delaware State Police say a bicyclist was killed Tuesday night. Troopers say Kara Gilmore drove her Subaru Forester into the bike lane on Atlantic Avenue, hitting Dwayne Pershing. Pershing was airlifted to the hospital and later announced dead. Troopers say Gilmore showed signs of impairment and was arrested for DUI. What is going there? A question most of those in Ocean City have probably been asking themselves about the construction on 94th Street. Now, thanks to recently released plans from the Continental Realty Corporation, we know it's going to be used for new retail and residential spaces. Coast TV News reporter Drew Bellinger shows us what's in store and why the development is drawing mixed opinions.
This 17 acres of land on 94th Street in Ocean City that's under construction will soon look a whole lot more like this. The spot that used to be the famous Roses store will soon be a new commercial, retail, and residential development.
I think it'd be a moneymaker.
Peter England says while he misses Roses, he's excited for what's next.
The old mall really didn't have a lot of, texture to it or whatever. It didn't look that well. I'm not sorry to see it go.
The Continental Realty Corporation, who has owned the property since 2004, says the space will soon become the new Bayside Shops at 94th, which will include a new and improved 48,000 square foot Acme store, nearly 11,000 square feet of additional retail space, and townhomes on the nearby parcels. CRC says in a release that NVR Homes is responsible for the residential development. We reached out to them for specifics, which a spokesperson declined to provide.
Ocean City Mayor Rick Meehan says that development like the one that you can see behind me is crucial for the north side of town in particular, and says that work like this is all a part of a broader plan to grow Ocean City in the long run, all while keeping the same resort feel.
But not everybody in Ocean City is excited about the new development.
They don't have enough townhouses as it is.
Richie Cams says he is looking forward to the new stores, but says every inch of land does not need to turn into something.
It seems like they allow anything anymore, just approve. The ones up on 142nd Street are right up on the highway. What good is that? What if they need a fire engine in there? How are they going to get that in there?
CRC says they're hoping the redevelopment of this land will be complete by late this year or early 2027. While some see opportunity, others see overdevelopment. But as construction moves forward, the future of this slice of Ocean City is already taking shape. Reporting in Ocean City, Drew Bellinger, Coast TV News.
The drought is not the only thing posing a challenge for farmers on Delmarva. Growers in Worcester County say they are experiencing crop damage from deer. Some tell us they think the problem is getting worse as development across the state line in Delaware is driving deer to the south. The deer are damaging corn and soybean crops, and the dry conditions are making it difficult to repellent what they lost on. One farmer says some fields fare better than others.
We have a lot of woods, and by you having a lot of woods, you are going to have a lot of deer and stuff. And our neighbors have the same problem that we have. About the only thing you can have is we've got some farms that it's not surrounded with woods, and we don't have near as much crop damage.
A spokesperson for Maryland DNR says that while it cannot directly manage deer on private property, there are multiple options available to help farmers. Links to those resources can be found on coasttv.com. And here's a look at the Bay Bridge. And see a few cars going by there, and there we go, another one. And every Thursday, the MDTA sends out its advisory for the best times to beat traffic. Long story short, head out early, even on Fridays. And we do have an exact breakdown of times to cross the bridge this weekend on CoastTV.com. Plans for a proposed homeless shelter are taking another step forward in Dover. The state of Delaware says it has reached an agreement with Delaware State University to buy the school's living and learning commons in Dover. Officials say the plan is to convert it into a shelter modeled after the existing Hope Center in Newcastle County, with the goal being to address the critical need for higher shelter capacity in Kent and Sussex counties. President Trump says he has called off another round of U.S. airstrikes against Iran, saying a deal could be within reach. Trump says the agreement would keep Iran from developing a nuclear weapon and stop attacks on commercial oil tankers. But Iran's foreign ministry says it has not made a final decision and will not compromise on its red lines. Trump says the deal could be finalized in the coming days with a possible signing ceremony in Europe.
We have a brand new record high in Georgetown today at 96 degrees, eclipsing the previous record of 95 back in 1947 with our low of 71. We're already up to 90 by late tomorrow morning, and the dew point's near 70, feeling like 96, and then by afternoon, 95, dew point 67, feeling like lower triple digits at that time. It's going to be very, very hot. Here's a live look at the Irish Ice Cam right now. For tonight, warm with a stray shower. Temperatures in the 70s, and then Friday, a yellow alert for more heat, feeling like 100 to 105, and the potential for afternoon and evening storms with the cold front. Much more on your forecast coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
Biking through the city of Lewis, what changes could be made to make streets safer? A look from above at Assateague Island and the history behind the famous shoreline. But first, we're taking a step back in time to World War II, when women across America answered the call at a critical moment in history. That's up next.
Taking a step back in time to World War II and how the women of America came together, answering the call at a critical time to be both out on the front lines and here at home. In today's Coastal Connections, Elisa Weber shows us how at Fort Miles they're doing everything they can so that we don't forget the impact of those women, plus take a look at how women are still impacting the military today.
Taking a look back at World War II and the crucial role women played in supporting the war effort.
Women would not have the right equally to serve in today's military here as American women. We would not have the ability to serve full capacity had not these women first paved the way.
According to the National Museum of Women's History, the Women's Auxiliary Army Corps was created in May 1942. The unit was granted full military status in 1943 and renamed the Women's Army Corps, opening the door for more women to serve. Women served in a wide range of roles during World War II, from the Army, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard to organizations like the Civil Air Patrol and the American Red Cross. Women also contributed on the home front, including at places like Fort Miles in Lewis.
It's really important, especially for us younger people, to honor the greatest generation service members because we're losing them every single day, female and men alike. And those stories need to be remembered.
Uniforms back in the World War II era looked much different than those we see today. On display at Fort Miles, you could see uniforms from various branches.
It's important, a lot of those artifacts and memorabilia to stand the test of time. They were made well, and they showcase a lot of American ingenuity and just the involvement that women especially had.
The Women's Army Corps wore an olive uniform featuring a tailored jacket paired with a skirt or trousers and khaki shirt. Women accepted for volunteer emergency service, known as WAVES, wore navy blue uniforms with white blouses and structured jackets. Women Air Force service pilots wore practical flight suits similar to those worn by male pilots. A lasting reminder of the women who helped shape history and paved the way for future generations. For Coastal Connections, I'm Elisa Weber.
America 250 on Delmarva, brought to you by Homewell Care Services.
The Assateague Island National Seashore is known for its wonderful ponies, and we make a big deal about it because it is a big deal. However, did you know that there's more to the story than its famous four-legged residents. Take a look. The Assateague Island National Seashore is known for its wild saltwater ponies. But its fascinating history goes far beyond its most famous residents. In fact, Assateague Island was not always an island. It was once land connected to Ocean City and Fenwick Island until a massive hurricane tore through the area in 1933 and separated the land, creating the Ocean City Inlet. In the 1950s and 60s, various groups of investors tried to develop the land. More than 5,000 plots were sold on the island in the 60s, but only about 30 were ever really built. There was even a road paved down the island. The Great March Storm of 1962 brought storm surges that submerged Assateague Island completely, which put an end to further development plans. Many landowners ended up selling their land to the U.S. government, and Assateague Island was dedicated as a national seashore in September of 1965 by President Johnson.
For future generations.
By 1982, the federal government owned nearly all the barrier land. Today, more than 2 million people visit every year to enjoy the beach, watch the wild ponies, explore hiking trails, or camp in the Assateague State Park.
At Homewell Care Services, we understand the emotional and physical burden family caregivers carry every day.
That's why we partnered with some of my favorite local businesses for something truly special.
Know someone caring for a loved one or neighbor? Nominate them for our Respite Holiday Giveaway.
Every quarter, one randomly selected winner will receive a caregiver appreciation package and 72 hours of in-home respite care. Delaware residents only, must be 18 years or older and a non-paid caregiver. To enter your nomination, visit homewellcares.com/carepartnergiveaway.
The summer-like sizzle was on today. Big time. It felt more like the end of July instead of the middle of June. 96 in Georgetown, record there. 98 in Salisbury, record there as well. 93 in Cambridge, and even on the coast you were hot. Ocean City at 94. Georgetown's 96 eclipsed the previous record of 95 back in 1947. In Salisbury, you're up to 98 today, eclipsing your previous record of 96 back in 1914. And it's still very warm out there. 84 in Georgetown, Millsboro 82, Salisbury 83, and even low to mid 80s at the coast right now. It's very muggy too, with dew points in the 60s and 70s. That humidity not going anywhere for a while. It feels like temperatures still into the mid to upper 80s. Even feels like 91 in Redden right now. As we have a little bit of a breeze out of the south, as we saw that line of decaying storms coming through, it did kick up the winds a little bit, gusting over 20 miles per hour, and still a little gusty at times. But all in all, things are quiet, mostly clear, as we had that line of showers and storms back to our west. You can see they crossed Chesapeake Bay through Easton, Bucktown. You had some lightning and some heavier rain, but then as it neared the Delaware area, they just kind of fell apart. And that's what we're looking at right now. They're still hanging on a little bit near Philly up into New York, some showers and storms there. There is a little shower south of Oxford, so we could still see a stray shower as we go through the evening hours. Otherwise, it's pretty much done for the evening. There is a cold front back to the west across the Midwest. This one could mean business for us as we go into tomorrow evening with showers and storms. And right now they're seeing severe weather all the way from central Illinois up into Michigan. Here's Futurecast at midnight. We're looking at mostly clear to partly cloudy skies, and it will be mild and muggy through the overnight, clear to partly cloudy, and only starting out in the low to mid 70s Friday morning. And then by noon, we're already into the low 90s away from the coast, and then about 95 to 97 by 4 o'clock with 70s and 80s at the coast. Then a cold front slides through as we go into Friday evening. Perhaps some severe weather at that time, maybe gusty winds, heavy rain, and some hail. Then that should move out as we head into the later part of the evening, and then we start to dry out as we head into Saturday. It'll still be hot in the afternoon, but the humidity much lower. Now, the placement of the storms, tough to tell as we head into Friday evening, but heads up for bad weather, and we'll be on top of that as we go into Friday evening with that cold front dropping through. Then it's drier into the weekend. weekend, and Saturday is looking really nice with lots of sunshine. And into Friday evening, we have a level 2 or a slight risk of severe weather. Gusty winds, vivid lightning, heavy rain and hail are all possible. Feels like temperatures tomorrow, 101 to about 103 is what it's going to feel like in Seaford and into the Laurel area, but much better as we head into Saturday with the drier air, feeling like upper 80s, and the muggy meter is showing very humid conditions into Friday. Then it does dry out Saturday, but that's short-lived because it gets muggy ahead of the next system. And bad news as far as the drought. We are now in extreme drought, Sussex County and really much of Delmarva, and just a slight chance of rain later Sunday evening. Maybe severe weather, we'll watch it, and maybe a close call with rain on Tuesday. 74 tonight, warm and muggy, maybe a stray shower, then 97, maybe severe weather into the evening hours. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 90 Saturday, and then Sunday, much of the day is dry and hot, 92 with evening storms. We'll watch that. Cools off into early next week, 84 Monday, hopefully beneficial rain Tuesday, 78, and still a chance of showers and warming up Wednesday into Thursday.
Thank you, Bob. Crossing one busy road in Lewis could become safer for people walking and biking. DelDOT and the city of Lewis are gathering public input right now on a series of proposed improvements along two roads that cross Savannah Road, Massachusetts Avenue, and American Legion Road. City leaders and DelDOT are taking a closer look at how people walk and bike in that area, especially when it comes to crossing Savannah Road.
Biking in Lewis. It's summertime, and with more people out walking and riding, some say safety needs to keep pace. A new project in Lewis seeks to improve pedestrian and bike safety along Massachusetts Avenue and American Legion Road.
I think bike safety is very, very important.
The study focuses on the corridor from Cedar Avenue to the Junction and Breakwater Trail connection, including the busy Savannah Road crossing. Proposed improvements include sidewalks or separated pedestrian pathways, flashing beacons, and more push buttons. Some people say bikes aren't the problem.
There's several people that get struck by vehicles all the time. It's not really, it's not always them. It's the distracted drivers with cell phones or whatever they're doing.
With summer traffic picking up, some people say now is the right time to invest in safety improvements before a close call turns into something worse.
Delaware has grown exponentially over, say, a 10-year period. They need the pedestrian walkways, the sidewalks.
There's more pedestrians struck than you would ever imagine.
According to DelDOT, this is currently in the public engagement phase with more concrete plans for the fall.
DelDOT says this project refines prior efforts to improve pedestrian and bike connections throughout the city of Lewis.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
The Phillies won last night against the Blue Jays, but at what cost? Center fielder Adolis Garcia left early with an apparent shoulder injury after attempting to make a throw from the outfield to home plate. And while there's no timeline for his return, Philadelphia signaling that it is a major issue for Garcia by making a trade for a center fielder today with the Chicago White Sox. Welcome Derek Hill to the city of brotherly love. Not fantastic numbers for the former man in the South Side. Hit just above 210 /284 and 374. That is on base percentage and slugging percentage. He does have some power in the bat with 4 home runs on the season, and 2 of his home runs actually off either a current or former Philly, Jesus Luzardo last weekend, and former Philly Matt Strahm as well. So he knows how to hit against guys who have played in Philadelphia, but can he provide some depth and maybe even some decent starts in the outfield for a Phillies team that has completely righted the ship this season, now 6 games above 500. You remember they fired their manager, Rob Thompson, earlier in the year, but they have a really thin outfield depth. So Hill is going to try to fill in for as long as needed with Adolis Garcia on the sideline. Have a good night, Delmarva.
We are now taking a live look outside into Salisbury, and after the break, we will have a final check on your forecast. This Feel Good Friday, we're celebrating the stories that make Delmarva shine. From the thrills of the Ocean City Air Show to the christening of Delaware's new responder to a few cool things happening across the region, there's plenty to smile about. We're also going beyond the forecast, a new weekly feature that takes a deep dive into weather. But to get to that, you have to get out your phone, take a picture of that QR code. It's going to bring you to our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/signup.
Brandon, we may be spelling that F-R-Y-D-A-Y tomorrow because it's going to be another scorcher. Head to the beach, mid-90s, even at the coast inland areas, feeling like 100 to 105. But keep an eye to the sky in the evening hours because we could be looking at severe weather. Be prepared to take shelter at that time. Congratulations to our umbrella giveaway winner. It's Sharon Anthony from Lewis. From Paul Davis and Coast TV, congratulations. And also call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. It's sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalas, Federico. Paul Davis 10-day forecast. It is a yellow alert tomorrow for the heat and the potential for severe weather into the evening. Lower humidity over the weekend, 90 Saturday, and then maybe late day storms that could be severe on Sunday, 92. Cools down next week, hopefully beneficial rain by Tuesday, lingering into the end of the week with more summer-like heat by Friday. Brandon?
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, go ahead and download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, is up next. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.